and John Carney, the lovely John Carney, had brought in one of the guys from Snapchat, and I really got excited about this whole little thing that's been going on for a long time, I think. So I'm going to tell you a couple stats about it. One, they've been doing it since December 2012, and they've been releasing a lot of little things, which we're going to talk about a little later on. Their core audience, surprisingly, is 13 to 34. 77% is over 18, which is surprising, I think, or at least that's what I thought. 50% of everyone that signs up for Snapchat right now is over 25. And this kind of reminds me of what it was like during all the Facebook thing when our grandma started getting onto Facebook. And we were like, I would swear here, but I'm not going to, because I'm going to save it for a zinger later on. Daily active users in Europe, there's like 100 million people that they use, but I've talked to Will and I'm saying, give me the truth. In the UK, there's about 8 million active users, but that literally goes, last month it was 7. So if you can kind of get the momentum. The month before that it was 6. So it's clocking up some users. 60% of the 13 and out of 60, you can read that slide, I'm not going to read it again. And so, which means kind of in many ways, Snapchat, from what Snapchat tells me, and I'm being a little more convinced over it, as is Robin Law, because we use it every day, but really young, cool kids. It's the best way to reach 13 to 34-year-olds, which is kind of weird and surprising, because I thought it was print and TV, Rob. I mean, it's just so weird. But maybe we should start focusing on it. 10 billion videos are viewed a day. That means 100 million people, so this is overall, 100 million people, 22 times a day, and these are stats, are spending up to 35 minutes in the apps. That means they're going into Snapchat on average 22 times a day, which is really weird. It seems crazy. So cool, that's great, those are stats. But what can I do with it? Well, let me do my little demo, and this might take a little bit, so get used to it. So, there are 3 different things going on in Snapchat. One is this middle bit, which is kind of the camera. I like to say this is the area in which you create things. On the left is chats that you're having. These are conversations that you're having with people. And then on the right are stories. These are basically kind of like feeds, and you can follow people and so on and so on. But I'll move on to that. So I'm going to kind of dissect each one of these things before I pick my nose. So let's start with the left. Chat, create, and connect. And again, I'm really sorry for people that know how this thing works, because you'll be like, oh my God, look at that guy. He has gray hair, and he's telling everybody how to use fucking Snapchat. Let's do it. But I'm doing it anyways. So, at its simplest form, chat. So here's a chat that I had, which we'll all be familiar, and I won't spend too much time on it, with Will, who runs Snapchat in the UK. You can type a chat and go, hey man, which is really cool. I can slip up and get into some stickers, and stickers we can start to sponsor, although no one's done it yet, but there's an opportunity for us to do that. So we can do it on different brands. I can hold down, I can add a photo. Come on, chat, catch up with it. So I can add a photo and post that photo. It's me scrolling through pictures of me, picking which one I'm going to do for the demo of me. And then I can hold down on that little button, and I can record audio, and then just send that. I can hold down on the button on the right to record video, and just send that. Or Will can give me a call in the middle of this, and it can pop up, and I can video chat with Will. So I can do all the things that you can do when it comes to chat inside of Snapchat. Seems pretty straightforward, but I thought I'd cover it off. They did say that stickers is an opportunity for us to put sponsored stickers in there, so that's kind of something to think about. So let's get into the meat of it. Create is the big one. And I think what's interesting about Create is, in many ways, it's kind of democratizing creativity. It allows almost anybody to create really quite complex graphic video content quite easily. And that is really going to start to kind of bombard our lives very quickly in our feeds, but for the moment, these guys are really kind of setting the pace for it. Kind of like Masquerade, but they're doing it in a platform that's a lot bigger and has a lot more capabilities. So the camera app is, and when I say ever evolving, Snapchat works on this kind of cycle of every 24 hours, they're releasing something new, whether it's a filter or all the other things we're going to talk about. So they will evolve this app over time, and when I say over time, I mean talking like weeks. They're quite aggressive about what they're doing, and it's quite cool. And it kind of takes the idea of what Instagram did about 5 years ago and takes it to video. Which means that basically Snapchat's a video platform, which I'll talk about a little more. So inside those three kind of, inside the camera, there are kind of, what I would look at as kind of three core categories. There's basics, filters, and lenses. The basics are the kind of things that I think we thought Snapchat was, or at least what I thought Snapchat was, which was taking pictures of yourself and putting really shitty graphics on it. Yeah, I shouldn't have done that one. That's three. Putting really bad graphics over it and kind of pushing out kind of weird messages that expire in 24 hours, right? Well, and you can do some cool stuff here, so I'm going to slowly type in the word boom and do it with emoticons, and I can save that out, and there's some pretty basic functionality. So I can do that with a photo, and I can do that with a video. Very simple. And so that's that simple process. But there's also some things that they're doing that are a little more interesting. So if you didn't know this, you can go down to your emoticons and put an emoticon on, and then you can hold down on a point, some fixed area of which you think you want that emoticon to track on. It's very simple to do, and it'll track on it. So if it's my mouth, or in this scenario, it would be Lolly's spoon this morning. Oh, a little poo in the mouth. Oh. So that's kind of fun, and it's a bit easy. No sponsorship opportunities in there yet, but probably. And I think that's the thing about Snapchat, and I hopefully we'll talk about it a little later if I don't fall asleep to my own voice, that we can kind of add anything to it right now. They'll let you sponsor anything. They're open to do anything, and it's quite cool for that. So you can create some basic stuff, but this is where the real opportunities are, filters and lenses. Now, filters give you a simple style, kind of overlays, that change color and stuff like that, but you can also add more relevant styles to your snap. It's kind of Instagram meets context. There are three kind of types of filters, really. There's chain filters. Now, what these are, so for instance, for KFC or Subway, you can, if you've got a chain of restaurants, you can geotag all of your restaurants, and anytime that you're in any of those stores, you can essentially have a bespoke filter that is one swipe away to the left, and I'll show you how that works in a second. That's kind of cool, actually. You have shared spaces, which would be parks and public areas, and then you have national, which I'll talk about in a minute, which is basically filters that kind of you buy for a day, and it's Christmas or whatever it is, and you can apply it all over the place. So, drink. So this is me, doing a little video. And I'm swiping left to right just to kind of add filters on it. Now you can see the color filters that I mentioned before, like Instagram. They don't really put a lot of focus on because it's not really what the platform's about. But I can also start to swipe across and get whatever that is. I think it's if I'm driving, that would show up at the speed of rate that I'm going. It would show contextual stuff like the time or the weather, or for reason my battery icon. You can also speed up and slow down in the filters. So you can speed your video up or slow it down or do it super, super fast. Is that it? And then it's looping, right? I might have screwed that up a little. So there's that. Very simple photo stuff. Then some contextual things. But then there's this one, and you'll be able to do this today because it's in this building, where if you swiped over in this building right now, you would get a Truth Well Told logo overlaying. And that's what geofilters are. So geofilters give brands, events, and individuals the opportunity to have bespoke filter overlays in a geo-fenced area. And we can do that in chain restaurants. We can do that for a specific building, like Heron Street. Or we can do that in a shared space, like a park. So this is all about really being in the right place. And it's really, really easy. And I did it, just to show you how easy it is. You hit the Create Now button. You choose a file, which you've got to create, so you've got to know a little Photoshop to do that. I did this for our house. I did one called the Warner House, and there's a little template, and you'll see it in a second, it's transparent. I picked the dates of which I want this geofilter, this little slide overlay that just goes over my things to show up. So let's say I'm having a birthday party for my son Miles, who is super cute. Or it's a birthday for my daughter Elle, who is also very cute. And I can have a little graphic that kind of comes over it just for that day or that weekend, right? Which is very cool. I pick the dates. I literally just kind of tap there and it creates a little area, and that's my house. And then it tells me, and it was $5, and because we have it in the UK yet. And that was it. And what happened is that I had this little graphic that said House of Warner, and anytime I did a Snapchat around my house, it kind of showed up, whether there's a picture of beer, whatever it is. So now if you look at filters in that context, you've got stuff like that's going on right now. So again, if you go onto Snapchat right now and swipe through the filters, you will get a Truth Well Told logo thing, and it will be there for the next day and a half. You can do it out of your home, and you can do things that are associated to retail destinations or locations, which is quite cool. And that's probably the best option for us in our brands. There are a couple rules when it comes to this. Can't brand attack, so you can't put a JD Sports over a Foot Locker. They're not going to let you do that. There are certain events like Wimbledon where you need to be a bit cautious about it. So Wimbledon are going to have an opinion on what you can do on that. They're probably going to be doing it their own by themselves anyways. But for the most part, it's kind of cool. So, two opportunities I've kind of played out initially: stickers and geofence filters, right? Just to kind of get a sense of where we're going. The next one is national filters. And national filters are really about kind of the right time. So, geo is about the right time, the right place is about the right time. And these are really just about you buy the day. Everything in Snapchat is 24 hours, everything. And you can basically buy the day, like the holidays are coming for the UK on the 24th or whatever it is. And that's quite cool. And you can do that for film releases. You could do that, again, at a high level, so that it can be for McDonald's, and not just at a location. And where you can go with that is, I was talking to Will today. He came over and just to kind of make sure I didn't lie about anything on this thing. And he started talking about stuff like, imagine if you're at a bus stop, and you've got a digital at home, you've got just a standard static at home. You could, in theory, geo-tag or geofence that bus stop, and then when you come up to that bus stop, when you combine the filter that shows up in that bus stop with the digital, with the out-of-home in the background, you can all of a sudden create something connected to that, which is kind of cool. And you need both of those pieces, so you need to be there. And you can start to play with the idea that, people are sitting at a bus stop for a certain period of time, and we've got media there that we can start to play around that kind of accompanies that filter. Or, for instance, L'Oreal, that car park that's always used during Fashion Week in Soho. L'Oreal could do something over that. There's loads of opportunities, and really they're up for doing a lot of stuff with that. So, national filters. So stickers, geofence, national filters. Those are kind of cool. And then finally are lenses, and these are the ones that are probably the most popular, the most interesting, and the most kind of creative in your opportunity of what you can do. And really, I think this is kind of the Pixar for us. So lenses are an ever-changing set of powerful motion graphic overlays that can not only map against your face, but also respond to what's going on in your face. And I think most of you are familiar with this. This is one from today, which is Dangerous Woman. So that was a sponsored one. It was the first one as I went into the interface to look at filters. But I can also, and each one of these, so basically how it works is that each one of these are up for 24 hours and they just kind of recycle. So it's an interesting model, isn't it, right? If you love these things, then the idea is that you're always going to come back and see what the filters are today. And that's quite fun. And there's a lot of opportunities inside of these to do really cool things. And I think you see a lot more of that. So we can sponsor these, we can create our own, and this is the biggest opportunity for us. And I was talking to Will earlier, there's face swap, which we're all familiar with. Excuse me. So here's Will and I doing a quick little face swap. You guys know how it all works. But there's another one where when you go over here, I'm going to do that 20 times, where you can face swap with a photo that's in your photo library. And it immediately kind of figures out, so you'll see me swipe over here and you can see pictures of things that I've been screenshotting. So it seems like I'm pretty self-obsessed. But it's just Alex Lubar and my son, to be honest. And that chick from Starbucks who's hot. And so I can swap up my face with Alex Lubar if I want to do. Imagine if you could sponsor that. Imagine if you're at Wimbledon and you could change all those faces by default to Serena and Novak and Djokovic and so on. Novak and Djokovic are the same people, by the way. I realize that was. Clearly I'm on top of Wimbledon like a motherfucker. That's worth it. So this is a bunch of things that Snapchat have sent me. These are ones that aren't released yet, but they're working on. And just to show you the power of what they can do with these filters. And these guys are working around the clock, and they're hiring more people than I can even understand. I can wrap my head around to create these, and to create bespoke ones for us. They're doing this all for advertisers, so we can do lots of things. So it's really just about what kind of ideas we come up with, and how quickly we can do that. It's pretty cool stuff. Some more examples. Right, and then the numbers on these. So this was during the Super Bowl, 24 hours, but it wasn't really 24 hours because it was during the Super Bowl. 160 million views in 24 hours. Pretty crazy. Until Taco Bell did this thing and they did 225 million. 225 million views in 24 hours. That's insane. And that's pretty funny, isn't it? I mean, you can't even tell that's a blur. So, pretty funny. And there's loads of opportunity for around that. You can do some tracking. Obviously, a lot of these are based off of kind of your eyebrows. This isn't working. There we go. Gross. The thing I find slightly fascinating about this is that pretty much if you put this out there, everybody that comes to Snapchat every single day will do one, and then they'll share it. And that's pretty crazy, to be honest, because basically what you're doing is you're getting bespoke TV ads sent to influencers at target audiences that you want to get to, which is pretty crazy. How are we doing? How boring is this? Raise your hand if it's boring. How about super boring? Yeah, there we go. So lenses, I kind of see them as personalized adverts. It's a massive opportunity here, guys, for us to do something. And that opportunity will be boring and diluted and over-figured out and commercialized in 9 months from now. So today is the day. It's maybe tomorrow, because we can probably have a drink after this, to really start cracking off ideas for this, because I think these guys are comfortable to do stuff. Next. So, summary. So the last one. So that's create, right? You've got the center column where you can create lots of stuff and lots of opportunities going on, and that's happening. That's changing on a 24-hour cycle, right? There's opportunities every 24 hours to do something interesting. The last side of it is stories. So where does all this stuff go? And there's 3 different kind of worlds to this: stories, live, and discover. The first one is stories. So basically, stories is essentially your own TV channel. So you know they're kind of like a programmatic feed of what you choose to share with the world. In some ways, they're your feed and a way for people to follow you. But in many ways, it's kind of the opposite of what that is. Oh Jesus Christ! Really, Bob? You need a drink? Should I wait for you? Yeah. Can you get one? Can you get one for Reagan over there? You gotta go. Wow, it's really. Yeah, it's very fascinating, isn't it? So stories. You do something, and then you can post it to your story. And again, for some of you that already know this, then you're like, whatever, chat, whatever. But so here's my story for today. I started this morning sending that to Lol and Suzanne Powers, I think, because I've read about it. You got it. It was kind of funny, and then you came in, we looked at it. It was really funny, and then you did this. And anyway, so you can tap through that, and then I got an email from Will saying that thing's live, so I started doing these. And you can tap through these. You don't even have to watch the whole damn thing. That's the thing. Damn is not a swear word. You can just kind of patiently or not patiently just tap through and just kind of skip past it. It's kind of like channel clicking. So that's my story. But the thing is you got other people have other stories, which is quite cool. And that's this little bit down here. And I'll talk about London's story in a second. So that bit, is this a video? Do you think it's a video? Yeah, if I hit it, it's a video? Right. So this is Serena Williams. You gotta follow Serena Williams.
Did you just fart?
So random.
Excuse me. That was mint. Mint.
Great with beans, not.
So she just posts all the time. But she's posting, this is like the most popular athlete in the entire world, and she does not put any filter on any of this stuff, right? What I love that, because it brings you into the celebrity's life, but it also just brings them down to be a normal person, and I think you gain deeper respect for that. And you get insight to what this woman is doing. So she's not, it's just a random thing that and she's so bored, it's so funny. She's the most popular woman in the world when it comes to athletes, and she's terrifying bored. But then you're getting access to Roland Garros. She's at French Open right now. But it doesn't start until next week. I mean, that's kind of cool. Before, we didn't have that as a platform. So maybe I'll skip this, because it's starting to get a bit boring. Oh, but then you got Reese Witherspoon, who's been shooting all week. And partying with celebrities and that kind of stuff. So you start to get interesting access to things, and I think that's quite cool. Jimmy Fallon in the States uses it as a way to announce who's going to be on the show tonight, very simply. It's very smart and cool. And I would just say every single person that's on Snapchat, just start following these people, because it's just kind of interesting culturally what happens when you start following celebrities on this. It grounds it, and it puts a very different spin on that platform. Very different spin in comparison to Instagram and Facebook, which are becoming paid media channels at the end of the day, which are choosing what we get to see, even though I've chosen to follow Serena and I want to see every post, but I don't get to anymore. So Snapchat's not doing any of that, which is kind of cool. So Discover, almost done, guys. Discover is a place that currently is kind of invite only, unless you pay for a quick little sponsorship. But really what they're targeting right now are content providers. And I think this is an incredible space to be in. Where, again, it's all video-based, with the exception of some content, I guess. But they're starting to give these channels to content providers to start creating different content. Now, if I was writing for this presentation, I probably would have filled in that part that said type, because it would have been a setup to this, but I haven't, so I'm going to skip that slide, because I don't really have any insight to that. So when you go into these, so you can slide across left and right, or you can tap on that thing up at the top, and it will take you into a group of these channels. And what's really cool is that, so we're going to Mashable, and this is all video-based, as being full screen video-based, no interface going on, no likes, no views or anything of that kind of stuff, just very simple video, and then you can scroll down up and get into long-form content if you're interested in that. If you're not interested in that, you just swipe to the, swipe down to get out of that, or swipe to the left. So let's go into National Geographic. I could swipe up and read about that, or I could just swipe across it. And now all of a sudden, I'm digesting content. It's really interesting, to be honest, or at least to me, because I'm a loser. And you can start to, everything has a little opportunity for content, which is quite cool. Another thing that's quite interesting in this, and this will apply to all of us more than ever, is that you can do ads in these. So as you swipe over to the right or the left, you're going to see an ad. This is for Burberry. But this isn't kind of like Canvas in many ways. You can see an ad, but you can also scroll and get content. And that's a pretty interesting little model, considering the amount of people that are coming to this and kind of quickly click you through. So come on, check. So anyways, you can scroll up and there's a bunch of content underneath that. And I think what that means from a creative perspective is we get to have a lot more fun in many ways, because now we can start to create video content that's specific to this format, which is a kind of a growing format. It's less horizontal, it's more natural in your hand to watch. And here's a couple examples of people that are doing that. And we should be doing that. This is the big one. I think this is really cool. So basically, and he showed this today, my head blew off a little because it's, remember QR codes and how stupid they were? Basically, everyone banged down about QR codes, and you're like, well, it's really great, but I don't have an app on my phone, and nobody else has an app on their phone to actually do QR codes. It doesn't really work, but they kept on banging on about it anyways. And so you saw these ugly things all over the place, but nothing really happened. Your little Snapchat icon is a QR code, literally. It's a way for you to share it if you want to share it, but it can also be a call to action on anything. So imagine on a press ad, for instance, here's a little demo. So imagine that little thing for Burberry was on a press ad. This was real, it happened. And you just take your phone and you take a picture of that. And this is what happens. So imagine that was on a poster. So that little thing comes up, and it could be follow, but if you pay for it, it says open. And it probably has audio. So it runs an app. You get a little thing from the mall. Nice picture. Thank you for that. Really nice. Dark point of the day. That's perfect timing. And you can scroll through that. So if I'm sitting looking at an out of home and I see that little Snapchat little icon as my call to action, I can do that and boom. All of a sudden, I'm getting ad content, I'm getting a deeper experience to learn about a product. I could probably have relevant local information around where I could buy that product, or where if it was a Samsung product, that there's a shop over on Oxford Street, and so on and so on. And that is a very interesting thing. It's there, it exists, and there are a bunch of people using this app all the time, so we should put two and two together and start doing stuff like that. So that's almost there. I kept on saying that. I said it, I think, both that stories in live, but arguably you can see we're on a progression heading into the end of it. Local, so live. Live is really quite simple. Snapchat, when you post or when you snap, is that what it is? Thanks, Rob. When you snap, you can put it into your story or the local London story. And what that means is that it knows where you're at. So if you're in Barcelona, then it knows that you're in Barcelona, and it'll put it into the Barcelona kind of story. And what happens is that there's a team at Snapchat who are curating these things. They're looking at all the ones that are being added to the Barcelona story or the London story and so on. And then they pick and choose what goes into that. And that's kind of cool, because if you start, I think we've all screwed around with it. You see it's there, it's London. And if you start screwing around with it, you start to get a kind of a vibe what's going on in London, which is kind of cool. So this is some ballet, this is whatever it is. But so if it's specific to a specific event, you can scroll up and it'll go and grab other live ones. So it'll give you stuff that's at that moment at the time, or you can scroll to the right and go to the next event, whatever it is. And now all of a sudden you can see a band playing. That was probably a great show in London last night. And this is all content to people. So that's kind of cool. You can sponsor that too. You put ads in between those two things. And you can put contextual ads in between those two things. So we can jam brands down people's throats all the time. So creative opportunities here, you can run ads, and it's brilliant for events. Live is very cool for events. So stickers are an opportunity, geofence filters are an opportunity, national filters on time of day is an opportunity, sponsored lenses are a huge opportunity because they're very creative, they're very cool, they kind of make people do really cool video in a way that they never could. Content in both Discover and Live, ads that we can put into that, not just an ad, but then lower content that people can scroll down to and engage and find out about a product is up for us. Snap codes are an easy way to make that connection between the online and offline world. And there are plenty of other new ideas that they're up for giving us, and they're developing now, but they want our ideas too. So, summary, some thoughts that I think are kind of cool. I think they're reinventing the idea of what a video platform is, and they don't look at themselves as a communications platform. They don't look at themselves as a chat platform. They believe that they are a video platform, and as far as I can tell, they pretty much are, which is very cool. They are democratizing creativity because of all that technology. The 24-hour notion forces everybody to live in the moment, and this is a strong one because I think it's really important, especially for kind of some of us older people that maybe not like, Matt, where's Sign, Matt? Really, a pub right there. They would want to hear this part. There is this kind of what it regresses to, I think, is this idea that we used to have conversations. And we would say things, and then they would go away, and either you'd remember them, or you wouldn't. But what happened was is that we had this period of time where all these lovely platforms came and they started documenting our lives, and we depended on that. And we actually went back and kind of, oh, look at our pictures of ourselves and remember that day. And that's really cool. There's nothing wrong with that. Facebook is absolutely brilliant, but I almost said a bad word there. But there's something about this platform that feels really light and really in the moment, and it gets us back to being a bit more human, I think, and I love that about it. It's very time and geo-based. Oddly enough, if you actually think about most of the unbelievable platforms that have been completely, that everybody almost has adopted, from our 85-year-old grandparents to my 8-year-old son, these platforms seem like they're geo-based, but they're actually kind of not. It's really just kind of a check-in model, and actually these are. This is the first real social platform where it knows where you're at, and almost everything is starting to build itself around that idea, around context, and that's really, really cool. One, because I love it as a nerd, but two, it makes for better creative work, I think, in the long run. And it's absolutely redefining this interface. It's crazy. Everybody I talk to about Snapchat goes, oh, it's really cool, I guess, kind of, but I can't figure the damn thing out. Its interface is actually so painfully confusing at first, but once you start to use it, it's about the absence of an interface. And all they do is make it about the content. And I think that's really powerful. And it's changing the way that we're creating work that is going. If you imagine, if you take a Snapchat versus a video editor, here's a good example of it, Chad, right? We can argue that we're kind of in this world, right? I'm going to turn my phone. Their view is very much that we'll be in this kind of world. That trailers just seem a little bit international. You're not seeing like buttons or Chrome or views or sponsored stories around it or any of this kind of stuff. There's no interface around this experience. It's just pure, unadulterated content. And that, from a content perspective, is pretty big creativity. And then lastly, I think genuinely it's fun at its heart. And that image has nothing to do with that, but it's a bit behind. And I didn't know what to put there, so I used that again. But she looks like she's having fun. But it is fun at its heart. It's always jokes. Do you know what I mean? There's no, oh my god, I can't die, oh my god, there we go. There's almost not even a mechanism to reply about your stupid fucking cat. So it makes it so much easier to just be real and fun. That was fine, I know. So, stickers, opportunity, geo-fence filters, national filters, sponsors, content, everybody got it in your head? Good. Snapchat's pretty fucking cool. That's 6, I don't care, I go over, I'm a rule breaker, I don't give a shit. Boom, so please get on it. Guys, get on it. I didn't want to do Facebook, I didn't want to do Twitter, but I needed to understand it so I could understand it for our clients, so I could see the relevance of it. Didn't want to wear Google Glass, because I knew I'd look like a fucking dick, but I did to a point where I realized it wasn't relevant today. Do you know what I mean? We have to be trying things naturally. And this is one that you can't skip, okay? So please get on it. Use our chill filter tonight. Drink, and drink responsibly. Unless you're not driving, then just get completely smashed. And I love you.